guys, welcome back at Sub-Zero, and we're going to do something completely different today. We're going to go away from games just for one day, and we're going to review and react to some old school commercials that I grew up with. I loved the 80s commercials, I loved the 80s games, I loved 80s culture, everything. So I thought, why not do something different, have some fun reacting, and just looking at some old school gaming commercials. Haven't done anything like this before, so let's roll, Joel. The very first NES commercial, I'm pretty sure.
The extraordinary video robot, batteries not included. He helps you tackle even the toughest.
I never got the robot though. Mine only came with the gun, Mario, and Duck Hunt. Never came with all this other stuff. Well, the games are sold separately, but the Nintendo Entertainment System that they're talking about there came with Gyromite and the robot, but I think when they released it in America, they didn't have the robot and stuff with it, because I don't remember it. I never had it.
From Nintendo.
I always thought it would have been cool, though, because I guess that robot, like, helps play the game,
like
this certain game. Zelda was huge.
Like ice hockey.
Ice hockey, totally remember
Nintendo
that.
has the most video game hits like Hogan's Alley and Donkey Kong Classic, and more like Excite Bike and RC Pro-Am.
Excite Bike, RC Pro-Am, hell yeah, dude. These are classics, dude.
Now you're playing with.
So this is what I grew up with.
Did you see the latest Nintendo newsletter? Whoa, nice graphics!
So of course I'm way more into this than anybody else probably.
I can play it on my Nintendo Entertainment System. It's the Legend of Zelda.
Yay! Oh God! It just brought back a memory of. Tell me if you guys, anybody remembers who played Nintendo back in the day. If anybody remembers when a game, you'd put it in to play it, and it would just be a blank screen. It would be blinking, and you were like, "Come on!" You had to turn it off, take the game out, blow in it, maybe bang it a little bit, put it back in, and then it would work. Like, what was that all about? Was there like little dust things in there or something? Like. It's so funny. Oh, Rad Racer was huge. I was more of a fan of RC Pro-Am, but Rad Racer was the original, besides Atari games, but like Nintendo, this was the first really good racing game, was Rad Racer. Radical, dude.
What's it like to play the Nintendo Entertainment
System? Now, you're playing with power! Cheesy 80s haircut. Whoa, dude!
The Nintendo Entertainment System. Now you're playing with power.
Watch Zelda become a legend on your Nintendo Entertainment System.
Zelda was so huge. This guy's wacky tabacky, bro. Interesting tidbit, when Zelda first came out, there was a memory card in the game, cartridge itself. Nintendo game cartridges did not have memory systems. You could not save. You could get like far, like say Mario Brothers, you can get to like World 8-1, and if you lost power or somebody hit the power button, you had to start from scratch. You could not replay that level unless you put in the code. There was cheat codes and stuff. But games, as they started progressing, like Castlevania, I remember when you got to like stage 3, 4, and you were like, God, I got to get off here, I got to go to school or whatever. You had to put in the code at the end of the stage, and you had to write it down, because then you had to enter that code later to be able to play that stage again. Otherwise, you had to start from the very beginning, like Mario Brothers. It made it super challenging, but that's what we grew up with. Bro, cheese. Yes. Speaking of Castlevania, Simon's Quest, one of my favorite Nintendo games of the Castlevania, one of my favorite Castlevania games on Nintendo. Of course, Symphony of the Night is my absolute favorite, but back in the Nintendo days, Simon's Quest was the best. And this was a game where you get so far and you had to get to a certain stage and you had to put in a code. I don't want to grow up. Oh, this is sad. The fact that they don't have Toys R Us anymore. It's gone. They went out of business. They went kaput. $80? Dude, can you imagine getting an Xbox One freaking Pro for $80 nowadays? That's how cheap shit was back then. But $80 now would be like $300. Never had this controller. I remember they had the rapid fire though, so you could like switch this little thing and you could like have A automatically just like. Never had a power pad either, but this was the first inklings of the Wii. When, you know, with the little bar, little sensor bar, and you do all the fitness stuff in the joystick. This was the first thing they had called a power pad. Now I heard that it sucked, it didn't work all the time, and it broke. The mechanisms inside were just not capable of holding up for too long. Oh, Paperboy, dude. I totally remember this game. I remember getting really high points for knocking over the garbage cans, and if you broke a window, you got really good points for it. You'd think you'd get less points. You'd think it would be the point to just throw the paper and make it work.
Irresponsible, mature, and very foolish. We recommend you try it at home. Paperboy.
The old lady chases him.
Nintendo Entertainment System.
Mario. I believe this is Mario 3? I think.
He's back. All you had to do was...
Yep, Mario 3. Okay, good. I'm glad I didn't get that wrong.
Nintendo.
And they never had a Mario 4. It was Super Mario World that came out on Super Nintendo. Nintendo at that point just went, nope, we're done now. We're going to move on to SNES and we're going to start creating games on there. Now, Adventures of Link was Legend of Zelda Part 2. Was another version of it. There was another game, and that was another one that was a gold cartridge with a memory card in it, so you could actually save your fucking game. It was amazing, dude. The only game besides those that I had that you could save on was Micro Machines.
When you're ready for a real challenge,
Marble Madness, dude, that main game used to drive me insane. Oh, that was a really tough game because you had to, the controls were really tough on the Nintendo pad, but you had to get that fucking marble down all these little skinny areas, and you almost fall into like acid, and then it was really tough. But like Tetris, super addicting. You just kept playing and playing and playing and playing. Top Gun? So I had Top Gun on Nintendo. No, this is like Tiger, Sky Tiger, Tigers. I don't remember. Sky Shark. It says it on the side of the plane. Yeah. Kmart. Holy shit, that doesn't exist anymore.
There's another thing, Mikhail. The kids these days.
The animated bears. I kind of remember this. I don't remember what game though, but it is familiar. Oh yeah, Tetris. Duh. Now I love Tetris. The whole world loved Tetris, but people really loved Tetris when it came out on Game Boy, because then they could just play it wherever they wanted. That's when like the addiction came in, was when people could play it on the go. God, it's like everybody and their grandmother literally had that game on the Game Boy. Nintendo was smart, dude. They knew what was going on. They're like, oh, this game is super addictive. It's selling out. Let's make it on the handheld system. Although the games on Game Boy, when the first Game Boy, were so etch-a-sketch looking black, and it was just horrible graphics, that it was really hard to play games on it. I hated it. I never had one, but I didn't get that system until Game Gear came out, Sega. And I bought that with my own money. Used from Funko Land. I think I had Nintendo Power for like a couple months, and then my mom canceled it because it was super expensive monthly. I did have Game Informer magazine though, and that was always a really good magazine. And that one, Game Informer, came right out of Funko Land at the time.
Nintendo, a quick loading cartridge system with over 60
A quick loading cartridge system. Yeah, if it worked right. If you didn't have dust in it, you had to fucking blow in it every 2 seconds. I never got that controller. I always wanted it. with the little joystick, the big square that had like a bunch of extra buttons on it and stuff. I always wanted that, never got that. Oh yeah, I remember Narc. Narc always reminded me of a game that I really liked called Spy Hunter that I used to play on Nintendo. But that game was super hard. I never had this game. I never played any snowboarding games on Nintendo or anything. But years later, in the late 90s, on PlayStation, I bought Cruel Borders. I think it was Cruel Borders, and then Cruel Borders 2 came out. That was hella fun, man. Because the graphics were a hell of a lot better. I'm sure they're way better nowadays, but at that time... Oh god, Dr. Mario, dude. The commercials were so bad.
Remember, kids, try this at home. Hey, you can get it for Game Boy, too.
Bigger, stronger enemies, and a ton of extra.
Yeah, this is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the arcade game that they made into the... Yes! Now, this game we used to play a hell of a lot of, man. I used to love this game. I mean, I loved the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles growing up, so of course I loved the game. It's amazing, bro. It's amazing.
For your NES.
Absolutely. Holy crap. Offer expires December 31st, 1991. Wonder if anybody's ever tried to cash that now. Could I get this free pizza, yo? I got it on my 12th birthday. Wonder if they'd feel bad, just be like, here, have a free small pizza, get out of our fucking store now. Double Dragon. I only played 1 and 2, I never played the third one. It all looks the same though, but those are always fun games. Oh yeah, Game Genie, so that was the code decoder, like, getting to different levels and stuff. Yeah, you could choose whatever levels, it would just... You could just cheat and skip ahead. You gotta remember, when I was a kid, you couldn't just look up codes, dude. There was no internet. In the 80s, there was no fucking internet. Actually, there was internet, but it wasn't for personal consumption. The government had internet. But yeah, they didn't have it. You couldn't just go on Google and search, how do I get past this stage? There was no strategy guides. You had to buy them. And you had to go to the store to get them. Or if you got Nintendo Power, sometimes they'd have a strat guide in there for certain games, but not always. Yeah, dude, everything's a lot different back then. You didn't have all the instant access to everything. You couldn't just Google stuff. You didn't have anything. And no knowledge. You had to just figure the shit out on your own, man. Or word of mouth.
Master Higgins is back in Adventure Island 2.
Adventure Island, I remember that game. Cheesier than a butt cheek on an island. It was another one of those Nintendo ideas to let's make a game that's kind of like Mario, but not Mario. And there we go.
Adventure Island 2.
Let's put it in a more tropical twist. Boo, lame. Ah, Bart and the Space Mutants.
It's Bart versus the Space Mutants for your NES.
Love that game. It was hard though. I never really got that far in it because I remember just giving up. It was so fucking hard. But yeah, Bart versus the Space Mutants. Oh, that brought back memories, dude. What game is this? Garzilla. Oh, it's a little Yoshi. It's a Mario game. I don't remember that. It's like a Tetris Mario game. Oh, the early Game Boy was so bad. Oh, that's right. Okay, so yeah. And then later on they had Yoshi's Island and all that stuff.
Tetris 2.
Never played Tetris 2. Tetris was enough.
Few are prepared for, and fewer still survive. But perhaps now the power is within your grasp.
Final Fantasy.
It's the game that's already a legend. The Legend of Zelda.
Legend of Zelda. Hey, close enough. So now we're looking at some of these Super Nintendo games commercials. Yes. The original Mortal Kombat. Now, I owned this game on the Super Nintendo, and it didn't have the blood in it, and it really pissed me off. And my friend, who lived down the street, had it on Genesis, and they had blood. So, I had the Super Nintendo with Mario Kart, Super Mario World. I had all these games my friends liked, but he had Mortal Kombat, and I had Street Fighter, and he had Mortal Kombat with blood. And so everybody wanted to go over there, then they'd always go over to Jay's and go play Mario Kart. Dude, it sucked, man. I just wish I could have had a Sega Genesis also, but, you know, I was a broke kid and all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? Mortal Kombat 2? Or is this still the first Mortal Kombat? It's hard to tell. It's crazy watching Tyler play like my Mortal Kombat 11 right now. And, yeah, Mortal Kombat 2. I played a lot of 2, but it's funny seeing Tyler playing MK11 now and stuff, you know, and just the graphics compared to what I grew up with. But when I was growing up, those games were freaking innovative, dude, and the graphics were amazing. It's like the arcade. Super NES was closest to the arcade as the systems at that time were going to be. Mortal Kombat 3, right? Yep. I believe that's when Cyrax came in and stuff. Look at Kmart, Toys R Us. Alright guys, that's it for this video. I just wanted to do something different, and that was a lot of fun. I love going down memory lane like that and seeing the old games and commercials and shit that I grew up with, because I mean, let's just admit it. It was a different time. There was no internet back then. Nobody had a cell phone. If your mom and dad tried to get a hold of you, or they had to either call your friend's house. They would, you know, if you were like out somewhere and they didn't know how to get a hold of you, my dad would come look for me, and I can hear him, Jace, yelling through the apartment complex. Yeah, it's just different time, man. I grew up in the 80s and the 90s, and it was a much different time. Now, there wasn't internet, there wasn't cell phones, like I said, but it wasn't until my late teens, when I was almost an adult, basically, at that point, when internet started coming around to my house. We got a computer and stuff, and I remember getting my own phone line in the room in the basement, and then I could have internet, because I could use dial-up, and I had a 14K modem. That's not even as good as 56K. This was 14K. Meaning downloading pictures and stuff, dude, took forever. Downloading any kind of video or anything like that didn't even exist back then, man. But downloading a picture was super hard. It was like, and then you'd see like a part of a face. Oh, I know who that is. You know, unlike today, it's unreal. But when I was a kid, you could not Google anything. If you didn't know an answer to something, you had to find out through word of mouth, or you had to like research it. There was no, you know, looking up how to pass a boss. I mean, none of that stuff existed, dude. And it's just crazy now. I watch Tyler, and he could just jump on internet and just search up whatever he wants. How do you pass this level? What's the strat on this? You can look up any YouTube video. Every kind of information that we ever can think of in our lives. Gaming, movies, music, education, anything. Space, science, murder, death. Sean? Yeah. Oh, thank God. You creeping scared me, man. I heard the door just kind of squeaking, and I'm thinking, is it fucking rapists? No. I forgot what I was saying. Oh, shit. But yeah, I didn't have all that stuff when I was a kid. It was just, it's kids have it a lot easier now, but it's also, it takes away from kids going outside and playing, which is kind of sad. But anyways, check out all the retro games I've ever played. There's RC Pro-Am, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, Super Mario World, whole bunch of crap up there. Castlevanias, Mega Mans, all that stuff. If you like our stuff, hit subscribe and hit that bell notification so you know when the heck we upload. And if you like this video, hit that like button, make it blue. And until next time, we'll see ya.